The Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines. Ask any rally driver, and they will tell you that this is one of the longest, toughest single days in rally sport. The roads are fast. The conditions change rapidly, and the margins for error are non-existent. And don't be fooled when the sun goes down. Nearly half the rally happens at night, so you can't be scared of the dark. Round 6 of the Canadian Rally Championship starts now. Welcome to Bancroft, Ontario, for the penultimate round of the 2022 Canadian Rally Championship, the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines. The teams know they are facing one of the most difficult events of the year.
On va vraiment aller safe, on va vraiment faire attention, surtout ce matin, là, l'eau, il va y avoir beaucoup de glace. Fait que vraiment, la première passe, là, ça va être vraiment juste de la finir. Là.
Aujourd'hui, là, les conditions sont changeantes. On va commencer plus doucement le matin, puis on verra pour la suite de la journée. Le but, ce week-end, je pense, c'est de gagner nos CRC puis de faire un podium national. Un top 3 national, c'est ce qu'on vise.
We're just going to take a cautious approach. It's going to be icy this morning. Tire choice is, everyone's struggling with that. But yeah, we'll just try to cut down on the dangerous spots and keep a good pace, and we should be good.
Cette année, c'est sûr qu'on va essayer de rester conservateur. Là. On a une bonne avance dans les points, fait que ça donne rien d'essayer d'aller trop faire des temps. Là. On va y aller smooth et rapide, on va dire.
23 teams have accepted the challenge of 16 stages with varying snow, ice, and gravel surfaces. Conditions will change dramatically through the event, and nearly half the rally happens at night. The Canadian Rally Championship is presented by Subaru Canada. Confidence in motion. Championship leaders Jerome Mailloux and Philippe Poirier will lead the teams into the stages. The rally kicks off with a pass through the infamous Lower Hastings stage, a high-speed test to get the blood pumping. Mailloux is up for the challenge. The lead test racing car sets a fast pace from the first kilometer, edging closer to their first title. Jean-Sébastien Besner is one of the few drivers who is still in a position to deny Mailloux the championship. He and co-driver Yvon Joyal are veterans of the sport who know what it takes to go the distance at Tall Pines, but their eagerness gets the better of them. They lose some time, but continue undamaged. Olivier Martel and Vincent Hubert proved their skills and endurance on these stages in 2021, finishing just outside the podium. This time, they're determined to hose their green BMR Subaru with champagne. They're off to a good start, posting top 3 stage times through the first loop. Alexander Moreau and Ian Guité are looking for redemption after gearbox failure took them out of Rally Charleroi, but they aren't holding anything back, sending it at full speed over the jumps. A battle for the podium is forming between Moreau, Martel, Besner, and Jonathan Drake, the 4 drivers trading seconds on each stage. Drake is showing excellent pace considering this is co-driver Ian Lance's first national rally.
50, left 5 very long, opens at crest, into right crest.
Jeremy Drake and co-driver Brandon Pace would love nothing more than to also have a piece of that fight. But a minor crash on stage 2 takes them out of contention before they can make their mark. Sebastian Clark and Patrick Levesque are also hoping to turn their luck around at Tall Pines. Mechanical failures have taken Clark out of every rally he's entered this year. But it won't be technical troubles that strikes him this time around. They're okay, and still in good spirits.
on est en entrevue avec Sébastien Clark qui vient de finir premier au rallye Tall Pine.
Ouais, malheureusement, premier, là, ceux qui finissent en premier.
Ouais, ils vont être de bonne heure aux maisons.
A measured approach earned Curtis Studdy the two-wheel drive win at Rally Charleroi. He and co-driver Mathieu Toupin are using the same strategy to good effect here, already pulling out to a significant lead in the class. After 4 stages, Mailloux is almost a minute ahead of the rest of the field. Martel, Drake, Moreau, and Besner are in a tight battle behind him, covering just 12 seconds between them. There are only 3 spots on the podium, so 2 of those drivers are going home unhappy. Duddy leads two-wheel drive by 2.5 minutes. It's a quick stop at service, and then more action on the stages when we come back.
Welcome to your 20-minute high-intensity workout. Pick up the cadence, regulate your breathing. Get ready for a climb, let's go. Okay, push it on the flats. Pick a number and get after it. Recovery in 3, 2, 1. The all-new WRX.
Welcome back to the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines. The teams have reached the first service stop on this grueling 20-hour day, and the top drivers are happy with their progress thus far.
Ça a relativement bien été. On a dû s'adapter là, avec les conditions. C'est un peu plus glissant que je pensais que ça allait être. Notre choix de pneus, c'est moyen, mais c'est des pneus là, quand même plus solides que des pneus d'auto là, d'hiver. Mais on a un peu moins de grip. Mais on voulait jouer safe là, pour être sûr de ne pas avoir de crevaison. Fait que on va garder notre stratégie.
Oui, c'est un bon départ. On roule bien. On a eu des petits pépins dans le deuxième spécial. Sortie large, on a arrêté sur le bord. Finalement, on est venu à bout de repartir. Puis on roule bien, ça roule bien. La journée qui fait commencer.
Well, it's been going pretty good. We took it pretty slow in the first 2 stages, then both me and Ian found our rhythm. In the last 2 stages, we've been clicking pretty good. So we'll keep that same program going. Just keep a nice smooth pace, and I think it's going to do us well.
I mean, surprisingly, I was second after the first 2 stages. I thought I could have been easily 12. It was so slippery, I was not pushing at all, but unfortunately I spun in the 3rd stage, so I lost at least 30 seconds. Yeah, it's still a long way. We know how hard this rally is. Now it's a tire gamble with the coming stages, so we'll see.
Well, I was expecting the stages to be a bit more slippery, so we were very cautious. But there's a lot of grip to be found. There's a few traps, though. Where there's snow and really tight roads, we almost put the rear end out irreparably, but we made it through. We just got to drive like 80%, and we'll get out of the pitfalls.
Service complete. The teams head back out to the stages. Having almost a minute in the bank would put many drivers at ease, but not Mailloux. He was in contention for his first championship in 2021, but luck dealt a cruel hand to the lead test racing driver on these stages. Going the distance is his focus this time around. On the other hand, Martel and Hubert are fighting to keep Drake, Moreau, and Besner in their rearview mirror. Their confidence is increasing, and they are picking up the pace in the second loop. But Moreau and Guité also crank it up a notch. They post the second fastest time on the first stage of the loop, leapfrogging both Besner and Drake, cutting the gap to Martel down to just a handful of seconds. The question is, will this pace be sustainable, or will this battle end in heartbreak? Besner and Joyal are smart enough to keep from being drawn into making costly mistakes. This is far from their first run at Tall Pines, and they have a focus on endurance that has served them well in the past. Attrition is usually a major factor at this rally, and waiting for your competitors to knock each other off the leaderboard is often a winning strategy here. Drake and Lance are also looking at the long game, but their car has developed a severe handling problem.
and right 5 over crest into left crest 70 down.
Their rear struts have seized, basically locking the suspension at maximum ride height and causing the rear end to dance all over the place. They lose time to Besner, falling to 5th. Just outside the fight for the overall podium, the lead for the production all-wheel drive class is being hotly contested by Matt Bollinger and Trevor Pugnier. Pugnier and co-driver Ryan Rouleau ended the first loop with the advantage over Bollinger and co-driver Gary Sutherland, but Bollinger fired back on stage 5, posting the 3rd fastest overall time and jumping ahead of his rival. Production cars are not allowed the same level of performance modification that open class offers, but this duel is elevating these drivers to the top end of the leaderboard. In two-wheel drive, Duddy and Toupin are putting on a masterclass in their Sentra. They are steadily adding time to their class lead on every stage. What little dust is offered on these roads is being eaten by their competitors. Out in front, Mailloux and Poirier are in command of this rally. With only one stage to go in the loop, they've managed to open up their lead to nearly 2 minutes over Martel and Hubert.
Gauche 6, 20 over crest, 75. Mid, c'est jump, 100. Droite 6, mi-court cut.
But a hard landing on a jump brings back a problem they faced at Rally Charleroi. They are unable to shift gears, and the transmission is jammed in 5th.
Hey, ça a cogné? J'ai cogné mal à la tête du coup.
Je suis capable de descendre les vitesses.
The malfunction nearly wipes out all the work that Mailloux did in the second loop, but they still have a minute 20 on Martel. Moreau is just 6 seconds further behind, and Duddy remains in control of the two-wheel drive class. The sun is riding low in the sky, but almost half the rally is still ahead of us. At the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines, Mailloux is back in service, but it isn't looking good.
Plutôt bien été là, dans les 2 premiers passages. On a fait des bons temps, mieux qu'on pensait là, avec les pneus qu'on avait. Mais on s'est fait surprendre sur un jump, puis on a atterri très fort. Pas longtemps après, on a perdu la transmission. Fait qu'on a fait le dernier stage là, en 5e vitesse. Fait qu'on va voir si on est capable de réparer puis de repartir. Je pense qu'on a fait quand même un bon spectacle, puis on va espérer continuer ce soir.
Je te dirais que ça a moins bien été que la première, mais on continue, là, ça roule bien. On a des petits ennuis électriques, là, mais je suis confiant qu'on va réparer ça puis que tout va être correct. On va essayer de gagner un peu plus d'avance. C'est parce que Moreau s'en vient nous rechercher. Là.
Je suis vraiment content parce que depuis ce matin, j'ai pas de frein arrière ou presque, à peu près 15 %. J'ai roulé safe, mais en même temps, essayé d'aller le plus vite possible. J'ai fait un choix de pneus, je crois qu'il a vraiment été payant. Là. Mes temps ont descendu, puis j'ai remonté dans le peloton.
Last loop, we lost a decent amount of time on the Egan stage with some issues to the rear suspension. The guys are swapping out the rear suspension now. We had it seized and we're bouncing around all over the place in the slippy sections. But it's a whole nother rally heading into the night stages. When it gets slick, there's a long way to go left.
There was a lot more jumps on this segment, a lot more traps, so we kept it clean. We don't have a rear suspension that's high end, so we can't go sending it off the jumps, so we just stay conservative.
When the sun goes down, it's easy to get lulled into a false sense of security. You start to believe that the day is almost over, but at Tall Pines, the veterans will tell you that this is when the real rally begins. Jerome Mailloux and Philippe Poirier hoped to run clean through the stages in Bancroft, but now they're faced with exactly the same malfunction that mired their run at Rally Charleroi. The transmission is jammed in 5th gear, making the car very difficult to get up to speed. Working in their favor, the nature of the roads here means there are plenty of high-speed sections where 5th gear will work well for them, but it isn't enough. Their lead falls to under a minute after the first stage of the loop. The battle behind Mailloux continues to intensify. Alexander Moreau and Ian Guité are on fire through the first stage of the loop, posting the fastest time and jumping ahead of Olivier Martel and Vincent Hubert by 16 seconds. The extra lighting that rally cars carry do nothing to fill in the shadows beyond the crests and jumps, making trust in the notes a key to commitment. Martel doesn't let that stand and replies in kind, cutting Moreau's lead down by half on the second stage of the loop. Martel's driving seems to get even smoother at night, and the pressure is on Moreau to defend his gains. Despite this duel, neither driver ahead of Jean-Sébastien Besner and Yvan Joyal have made a mistake yet, but they're ready to pounce should it happen. Patience and endurance are hallmarks of this team, and it's often the winning formula here on these stages. The falling temperatures have not deterred the fans, who are still out in force to cheer on the action. With their suspension freshly repaired, Jonathan Drake and Ian Lance are back up to speed and looking to elbow their way back into the fight for the overall podium, but their rally will end with an off-road excursion. Right behind them, the battle for the production all-wheel drive class is intensifying. Trevor Pugnet and Ryan Rouleau steadily chip away at Matt Bollinger and Gary Sutherland's lead a few seconds at a time.
Okay side, slow down. R4 over crest. Stay right. R6 over crest. Stay right. 50 over crest. Stay right. R6.
But just when it looks like Pugnet is going to overtake Bollinger, the yellow Subaru posts the second fastest overall time on stage 11, opening up the gap again to 27 seconds. Undeterred, Pugnet doubles down and carves that lead back down to just a handful of seconds by the end of the loop. Curtis Duddy and Mathieu Toupin continue putting on a clinic in the two-wheel drive class. They are nearly 7 minutes ahead of their nearest competitor and could back off if they wanted to, but it seems like Duddy is just having too much fun to slow down. Mailloux manages to stop the bleeding and actually extends his lead to 90 seconds. Moreau manages to hold off the hard-charging Martel, with Besner holding in fourth. Bollinger is just 4 seconds ahead of Pugnet in the production all-wheel drive class. Duddy is in a class of his own in two-wheel drive. It's the final loop of stages at the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines when we come back.
Welcome to your 20-minute high-intensity workout. Pick up the cadence, regulate your breathing. Get ready for a climb, let's go. Okay, push it on the flats. Pick a number and get after it. Recovery in 3, 2, 1. The all-new WRX.
Welcome back to the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines, where the teams are ready to hit the final loop of stages. The Canadian Rally Championship is presented by Subaru Canada. Confidence in motion. 3 night stages to go, a 90-second lead, and 1 gear to defend it. The challenge Jerome Mailloux and Philippe Poirier are facing cannot be overstated. But this team is determined to conquer the event that derailed their championship run last year. Once up to speed, the car is alive, and Mailloux uses the fast roads to his advantage, increasing his lead. In the production all-wheel drive battle, Trevor Pugnet pulls out all the stops on stage 14, posting the second fastest overall time. He and co-driver Ryan Rouleau leap ahead of Matt Bollinger and Gary Sutherland by just 4 seconds, and then open up the gap slightly on stage 15 with another fast time. Despite a heroic push, posting yet another blistering stage time on stage 16, the kilometers run out at the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines, and Bollinger has to settle for second in class, but by just 1.4 seconds. It's a safe bet that these two drivers would duke it out till sunrise if they could. Curtis Duddy and Mathieu Toupin finished their first Tall Pines rally the way they started it, in command of the two-wheel drive class. They won every stage, finishing with a lead of nearly 8 minutes over Hammer and Dozois. Time and distance are running out for Jean-Sébastien Besner and Yvan Joyal. They played the long game, banking on the battle ahead of them, resulting in one of the other drivers making a mistake, but it has yet to happen. Nearing the end of this grueling day, Olivier Martel and Vincent Hubert decide to put it all on the line. They drop the hammer in an attempt to use their night skills to reel in Alexander Moreau and Ian Guité, and they post the fastest times on the last 3 stages of the rally. But Moreau isn't asleep. In sight of his best finish of the year, he also pulls out more speed and limits the damage to his lead. It comes right down to the wire, but Moreau manages to stay just ahead of Martel through the finish line. For Jérôme Mailloux and Philippe Poirier, the battle behind them has taken a significant chunk out of their lead. The mark of true rally champions is the ability to shine in adverse conditions and to maximize results when disaster strikes. Despite the gearbox issue and the hard-charging drivers behind them, Mailloux and Poirier take their first win at the Lincoln Electric Rally of the Tall Pines and earn maximum points for the 3rd time this season.
Ça, madame? On a réussi encore à survivre.
C'est le cas de le dire.
Mailloux, Moreau, and Martel will spray champagne. Besner has to settle for 4th. Punier wins his duel with Bollinger, but by just a whisker. Duddy takes his 2nd 2-wheel drive class win in a row. Maximum points leaves Mailloux with a nearly insurmountable lead in the championship. After a 20-hour day of rallying, it's time for the finishers to reflect and the winners to celebrate.
I mean, our car isn't highly developed, so the important thing is just to be constant. Consistency and taking it easy is the way to make it to the finish. We'll be fast another time.
Well, he surprised me. He managed to keep it slow, keep it steady, not force anything, not push too hard. So yeah, he listened to my calls, and that was our plan. We wanted to finish first, regardless of the position. We wanted to be here at the end, and we did it. So amazing.
Toute une fête jusqu'à la dernière spéciale. On a cru pouvoir rejoindre Moreau, mais il a poussé lui aussi, puis il a gardé sa 2e position. On est très content de notre 3e position.
Oui, Martel, dans la dernière boucle, il s'est rapproché beaucoup. J'ai eu des problèmes de frein, mes freins ont collé. Puis j'ai réussi à me réparer à la dernière minute. Je suis revenu assez fort pour garder les quelques secondes. Je pense qu'on est à 12 secondes de différence. Vraiment pas beaucoup, là. Vraiment une belle bataille. Les mécaniciens ont travaillé fort. Ça a été vraiment difficile. Des gros bris. À tous les fois, ils ont réussi à me ramener que je sois capable de repartir. Là, je suis vraiment content.
Une belle victoire, mais un rallye de survie encore une fois. On est resté bloqué en 4e vitesse. On a réussi quand même à tenir jusqu'au bout. Toute l'équipe de Test Racing ont fait un superbe job pour réparer mes petites erreurs. Puis on est très heureux là, de la fin. Grosse avance. C'est sûr que avec le dernier événement là, qui double les points, il n'y a rien de gagnant encore, mais on va voir là, avec la suite s'il faut aller confirmer notre championnat dans l'Ouest.
Although Mailloux has a commanding points lead, the 2022 Canadian Rally Champion won't be crowned until the champagne flies at the Big White Winter Rally. We'll see you there.